What's up YouTube? Today we're going to do part 2 of our Pier and Surf videos for all you need to know about bait. Sorry guys I didn't upload last week. I was sick last week. I had a sore throat and I couldn't talk, and I didn't want to mess up you guys' video because I want you guys to be able to take the most out of each and every video that I do because I want to help you guys. So right now on the channel we're talking all you need to know about bait. So subscribe and hit the notification bell that you don't miss anything else. Next we're going to be talking about nearshore bait and offshore bait, and everything you know about that comes to do with bait, like bait pins, rods, rigs, everything. So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So today we're talking about the fishes of pier and surf fishing. So first things first is pinfish, because pinfish you can catch off a pier, you can catch off from the beach. But pinfish you're going to want to have like some sort of little structure. They normally won't congregate around sand. There's probably going to be like some little seagrass or something around there for them to congregate around it. And those you can catch using a sabiki, or you can cast net them, and then you could just use them to catch snook, redfish, trout, Spanish mackerel, grouper, snapper, really anything that'll eat a fish almost. And then for those, what I'd recommend doing is using these D&B chicken rigs and just letting them sit there with the live pinfish on them, or even a dead bait of any kind would work good for those, off a pier or a bridge or whatever. A pier or a bridge that's like next to the ocean or off the beach. Those rigs can really be used anywhere in fishing because they're so versatile and they're really good. They're D&B chicken rigs, and I'll have them linked below in the description. So now let's talk about threadfins. So threadfins are a really easy bait to get. I will also talk about pilchards too right now actually. So pilchards and threadfins you can catch around like the pilings around a pier, or you could catch them along the beach in sand. You can cast net them, or you can use the sabiki rigs. There's really no difference between these two. And that is a really good bait for really anything that'll eat a fish. Spanish mackerel, bigger ones you can even use to catch kingfish if you're off those piers. And what I would recommend for those kingfish is these D&B kingfish rigs. You can get one with a pink and white duster or without a duster. And they don't have any swivels on them, which is absolutely crucial if you want to be able to consistently catch kingfish, because I really believe that having a swivel will actually deter the fish from biting your bait, and that's something you don't want to have because you want to be able to maximize your time out there on the water, so that way you can catch as most fish as you can and the biggest fish. That way you have a fun time. And you could really use any bait. These are stinger rigs. These are about 8 inches apart, so like a big thread fin will work good, and also like a cigar, minnow, or a sardine, or anything off the beach. So now we'll talk about our cigar minnows, which is not as common off the beach, but you'll catch them. Goggle eyes sometimes, and then blue runners and Spanish sardines. Now goggle eyes are more of a East Coast thing. You won't really catch them off the west coast of Florida, but goggle eyes in the daytime they'll come near the piers and you could cast net them. And then you can really be able to, if you want to go offshore with them, you could take them offshore if that's what you want to do to catch your goggle eyes. That way you don't have to lose any sleep. So now let's talk about the rest of the baits. So blue runners, you're going to want to use a bigger sabiki. But if you want to be able to catch threadfins, those pilchards, the Spanish sardines, the cigar minnows, you can catch them. And those you're probably going to catch off in deeper water, like the ends of a pier, or if you're fishing off the beach, you're going to have to cast out farther where the water's deeper to be able to catch those baits. So those baits will congregate in schools, so sometimes you'll see them schooling up and you'll be able to catch them like that when they're all schooled up, and you can catch really a lot of fish with them. You can catch tarpon. That's something you also can catch with the finger mullets. I mean, the pilchards and the threadfins is tarpon too. I forgot to throw that in there too. So those you can catch tarpon, kingfish, Spanish mackerel, sharks, barracuda if they're around. You really catch anything. They'll even catch grouper around if they're around, or snapper. Like you can cut them up and use them to catch the snapper off the pier, or maybe even a whole one would even catch a snapper. But most of the time the snapper that you're catching off a pier is going to be like those mangrove snappers. So those are really good to use. And then what I would recommend using is those D&B kingfish rigs. I'll have them linked below. And those are really good rigs to have, because when you're kingfishing off a pier, you want a really good, stealthy, reliable rig. That's why I choose D&B. I think, in my opinion, D&B is the best rigs out there on the market. I don't think it gets any better than that. So for these baits, you don't have to use a sabiki, you can cast them. You probably want to use a bigger cast net. But the problem is off a pier is that you're going to need more rope to be able to reach those fish. And then also those fish might be in the middle of the water column. So let's use this side of the coast for example. Off a pier, it's normally, depending on the pier, is probably between 12 and 16 feet of water. Also depending on the tide and the time of year. So if the pier is 20 feet high and it's 10 feet deep, you're gonna need like 35-40 feet of line. So that's not always the best method. You can use a little bare hook and put some shrimp on it, or you could put some shrimp on these sabikis and use them. These are really good. You just put a weight on the end of them and you just twitch, and you'll catch them. We'll actually have a video coming soon on how to use sabikis. It will be in the next couple weeks. And so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, that way you don't miss that future video. And then now let's talk about our final bait, which is going to be mullet. Mullet, you're going to have to catch in a cast net. There's no other way to catch them. But you'll see them running in schools along the beach too sometimes. So if like you're on a pier and you're like on the lower end, you can throw your cast net over them. Or if you're on the beach, you can throw your cast net over them. You could wait out there. They might be right along the beach too. And those you can use to catch snook, redfish, kingfish, tarpon, sharks, barracuda, really anything. Grouper, snapper, mullet are really good baits. All fishes are normally pretty good to use off a pier. And then also, this is like something most people won't do, but I will do this when I'm kingfishing like a tournament. If I catch a smaller Spanish mackerel, even a bigger Spanish mackerel, but I like to eat Spanish mackerel, so like the smaller ones, like 16, 18 inches, I will use to catch kingfish with. And then you could also use them to catch sharks. I've had sharks bite them, but that's kind of unfortunate when you're fishing a kingfish tournament. But what you'd want to do is you could just go ahead and use one of these D&B kingfish rigs on those. If it's like a smaller one, like 12 inch, which is the minimum length in Florida, and remember it is fork length, and there is a daily bag limit on them too. But you could just put them out. They would probably be alive too if you put them on right away. Or you could use them dead. I normally have to end up trolling them dead unless I catch them right there and there on the boat. But like when I go to catch bait, I might catch this Spanish mackerel with using these. So these will also catch Spanish mackerel too, not just those blue runners. And also something to keep in mind is that when you're fishing with these sabiki rigs, because they're bigger, also with these little ones too, but it doesn't happen so much. If you're fishing and there's Spanish mackerel around or bluefish or whatever, you're going to end up getting cut off sometimes. So you might want to have 4 or 5 of these. I use this sabiki. Really, any sabiki of this size works. This is a size 16 sabiki. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's size 16. And really, any brand will work. Marathon, Hayabusa, Owner, R&R. They're really all pretty much the same. Some people might say different things. But then also, something I saw at the store was like where these are like little squids, and those work really good too, but there's only 4 per each, but this is 8. But what I would recommend doing with this, is what I do is I cut them in half, so I have 4 and 4, so that way it's more manageable for me. And that is also how you can make one pack turn into 2 rigs, because you're gonna get it cut off too sometimes. You'll get cut off by Spanish mackerel because of their teeth. Sometimes I don't think it's ever happened to me, but of course I wouldn't know because I didn't see it. But sometimes I hear like the blue runners, they will like break off like the hooks, especially on the smaller sabikis. But I don't really think that's an issue. But the biggest issue with sabikis is that you're gonna get cut off with Spanish mackerel. So make sure to have whatever size you're using. Make sure to have 4 or 5 of them with you. That way you can just tie on another one if it gets cut off. Because sometimes you'll get them right up to the surface, and then that fish will move just a little bit, and then boom. Like sometimes you'll have that Spanish mackerel on top, and you have your 3 blue runners on the bottom, and then boom, you lost all 3 blue runners in that Spanish mackerel because it's just 1 second. So that's something to keep in mind. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll have those things I showed you linked below in the description. And also, if you need a bait pin, D&B makes a really good bait pin. They also make customizable bait pins. If you send them an email down below in the description, I'll have that link below, and where you can buy a 47-gallon bait pen from D&B, which is a very well built bait pen, and it's also collapsible too, so you could travel with it. You could really do whatever you want with it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell that way you don't miss future videos, and make sure to like this video if it was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time.